Welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Mediocrity Sports Show. I'm your man Mike, and my Commanders just laid belt to ass against the LA Chargers today. Um, I kind of saw this one coming a little bit. I felt the Chargers was going to take some time to kind of get right following that Giants game. And, I know we had an ugly game against the Atlanta Falcons last week that we really wanted to kind of get that bad taste out of our mouths. And, with this being JD's homecoming, as you would say, him playing his first game after being drafted in California, I really knew that, he really wanted this one and would really show out if need be. So really thought we had a big chance to win, and I'm glad we was able to do so. Um, we didn't start the game how we wanted to, but we did get things going, and we were able to put up a dominant performance today. So starting off in the first quarter, Herbert, he was really able to do anything he wanted to back there. We wasn't applying a lot of pressure at all. He got the running game going. At some points, he was looking like Michael Vick out there. I think he had a run for almost 50 yards, got through the line untouched. Our secondary was looking pretty bad. He was able to throw to wide open receivers. Really didn't look like we arrived in LA, looked like we were still in Virginia early in that first quarter. And he was able to take the Chargers down the field in that first quarter at will, and eventually they scored a touchdown with McConkey, and they didn't look good. The outlook really didn't look good. It looked like our defense was going to let us down once again. Um, and then they were able to score another field goal as well. It looked like things for the offense wasn't looking good either. Jaden didn't really have a lot of time to throw. When he did, um, you know, nothing really opened up for him. Um, he tried to use his legs a lot, but he was sliding, which we did like to see, but um, we really didn't want him to have to do that. We know he really wanted this game, and he was going to try to do whatever he could to get the win. But him coming off this knee injury, missing the last two games, you don't want to see him, running around scrambling a lot. And early in this first quarter, I was really upset when Kingsbury decided to, I believe it was on the second play of the game. We ran the ball on first down, and then on second down, Kingsbury decided to do just a straight up QB run. And I'm just like, you really gonna run JD5? Like him coming off this knee injury and you just running him out there like that. I just couldn't believe it. But luckily, it didn't backfire on us, and he didn't get hurt. But that decision to put him out there and in harm's way really seemed like Kingsbury really wasn't comfortable and in his bag yet with calling that play. Didn't really understand it. Um, to me, you would want to try to get Jaden comfortable as far as getting um, the passing game going. He hasn't played in the last 2 weeks. Try to give him some easy passes to kind of get him into a groove and into a mix. But just having him run like that early in the game um, just kind of had me on edge a little bit. And Jaden did take. Sometimes he didn't get down and he tried to fight for yardage, and he was in some type of weird positions where he was getting tackled up high and down low. But luckily, nothing came from that. It didn't seem like the game turned um, for our favor until that turnover where we forced that fumble against Johnston. That seemed like it turned the tide, and Marshawn landed on that fumble that we forced, and that's when it seemed like that. It seemed like the stadium just kind of deflated for the Chargers, and you could just feel the mood and the energy shift in our favor. Seems like after that, we could do no wrong. Um, we took the ball right down the field on them after that fumble recovery, and Bill Krosky Merritt had his first touchdown of the game. Had a nice run on the left side, about 15, 20 yards. Seemed like he was wide open on the left side. And you want to see more runs like that. We're the second best running team in the NFL. Okay. Let me say that again. We're the second best running team in the NFL. Bill Krosky Merritt as of last week, was ranked the number one running back by PFF standards. Okay. He has the most rushing yards per attempt in the league at almost, I think, but 7 or 9 rushing yards per attempt or something crazy like that. Why wouldn't you run the ball? You know what I mean? Use your running backs. Don't use JD. Use your running backs. We got a 3 running back system, and if every time we do, big holes for the running backs open up. Bill had a nice run on the left side, completely wide open. And that left side of the line is our strong side. Tunsiled on that side, even though sometimes he could get a little handsy. And, I think he had a couple holding calls this game. Could have had a third, but they didn't call the flag, But we got Bill going. Bill was one of our keys to the game. Bill was one of our keys to the game. Speaking of keys to the game, let me just pull this up really quick. We don't even have to go back going into their stats for last week. But we already said that our running game was our strength. Okay. Chargers, they have an elite offense. Got one of the best young quarterbacks back there. Their offense is their strength right now. But they're an overall good team. We said that the weakness was our secondary, and that it seems like that's been the case for years. I can't change it until they actually show something, and even early in this game, it showed. Our secondary was the weak point this game early on, and also it showed when we kept that run going, that Chargers run defense loosened up and we was able to make a lot of runs, and our players to watch before the game, what did we say? We said Bill Krosky Merritt was going to be a player to watch in this game. Okay. That's because it was very important that we got that running game going. And he proved that today with his first, 100+ yard game, 2 touchdowns, and their player to watch was, of course, their quarterback. And he did start off, like he was putting their team on his back, but once we applied that pressure, he couldn't do too much. But, early in this game, it looked like, he was that player to watch for them. And then we also said, some of the keys to the game was protecting JD. And I feel like in the first quarter, we did a bad job of doing that. JD had a lot of pressure in his face. He had to try to make a lot of plays himself on, with his legs. We don't want to see him doing that right now, especially as he continues to heal. He has a gigantic brace on his left knee. We don't want to, see him having to make those plays and do it himself. So I feel like early on we failed with that, but as the game went on, you saw that JD had more time to throw. He was able to find Debo. He didn't have to run as much in the second half. So I think we did a good job of correcting that in game and actually, giving him some protection. And also another key to the game was applying pressure to Herbert. You can't let Herbert sit back there and pick you apart. We saw in the first quarter when we allowed that, he was able to just go up and down the field on us and put up a quick 10 points. When we started to apply pressure, we saw some of those passes not be as accurate. We saw him patting the ball a little bit, trying to scramble a little bit. He was a little uneasy. You know, that's what you want. When you're facing a great quarterback, you have to apply pressure. And I think we really did a good job of that in the second quarter. Right the middle of that second quarter up until the end of the game, we did a good job. I think we finished with 6 sacks as well, and forced the interception. Then we had our third down conversions. Our third down conversions. I feel like last week we did a horrible job. I think we was 1 of 8, and this week I think we did a bad job as well. We was 2 of 7. You can't win going 2 for 7 on third downs. You know that is not winning football at all. We had a total of 22 first downs, but that going 2 for 7 on third downs is not that's not winning football at all. So that's definitely something that we did not um, capitalize on today, and something that we need to work on going against next week's game against the Chicago Bears on Monday night. And the last key to the game was to get that running game going. I feel like as the game got going, and we was able to really change the course of how that game was looking early on. We got that running game going. We got Bill going, and that really helped us out a lot. Um, and like we said, once we got that forced fumble, it seemed like everything started to work for us. That running game opened up the passing game. We was able to find Debo for a lot of wide open catches. He made some nice catches, hand catches. Strong hands on the sideline. Um, and then we had a big bomb uh, going into halftime that opened up. I think our first score or second score, where Luke McCaffrey had a beautiful 50 to 60-yard catch right down the middle. Had to lay out a little bit for it, but it was a dime, just dropped right in the basket from JD. And that's when you could kind of see that he was kind of feeling it too. Like that's when JD was, getting that confidence back. He missed the last 2 weeks with an injury. So, it takes some of those plays to really get your confidence going. So it seemed like once he made that play, he was feeling more like himself, and was able to do pretty much anything he wanted at that point. But Chargers, I mean, the energy shifted away from them, but it also they started to beat themselves. They had a costly penalty where they had they roughed up our punter Tress Way, hit his planting leg when he tried to punt the ball away when we were in our end zone. Just some costly penalties, some costly mistakes um, that really didn't bode well for them. And then Herbert had a very uh, unopportune interception. He kind of brought them all the way down the field. They were at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, about to score a touchdown. And, Big Newton in the middle tipped the ball when he threw it, landed. I thought Samerstill was going to drop this interception that hit him in the hands, but he bobbled it, was able to catch it at the 1 yard line. And those are the plays that you need. I know Samerstill kind of, he's not really having a game the season that he wanted. He kind of struggles, been struggling a little bit at times. But it seemed like he coming through with, an interception when you need one. He had one he had one against the Falcons last week in that loss. I think he had another one early on in the season, and now he got one as in this game, but seems to always be there to make a big play when you need it. Um, so that was big for us to really stop them from scoring, and was able to run out some more of that clock. But all in all, big win for us. We really needed it. We didn't want to drop 2 and 3 going into this rematch against the Bears next week. So we will see. Hopefully, we didn't have any injuries coming out of this game, um, and hopefully, we could get some of our players back that were inactive. I know Terry. He had second and third and fourth opinions on that quad. Who knows when he'll be back? But I'm thinking if it was really serious, they probably would have put him on IR for 4 or 6 weeks, but they didn't. So we'll see when he comes back. Hopefully, maybe we could get Sam Cosmi back this week. Um, I knew he wasn't going to play this week with him just coming off of that, off of the IR. I know they have, I think, 21 days or so to bring him back completely, but we'll see. Hopefully, we could get him back too, though, because I think when Sam comes back on that right side of the line, will really get that running game going. Even though we're second um, in the league now at rushing, when he comes back, I really think that we can really run the ball at will against a lot of these teams. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll know the next time we drop another video or another live. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about the game and what you think about, what we'll do against the Chicago Bears next week. The Bears are coming into our house. I'm sure they're going to want to kind of get their revenge after losing in that Hail Mary game last year. So, just let us know in the comments what you think, and also what other episodes you want to see from us as well. And follow our other pages, our TikTok and our Twitch. We go live on there as well. So yeah, definitely continue to support the page. And until next time, peace.